the same fire of physical suffering. If you cannot master the simple task of moving your body, you will never master the complexities of fate. Every rep you skip is a lie. You tell yourself about who you are and what you deserve. Pain is a teacher that never lies, and it demands that you pay attention to your own pathetic limits. Are you afraid of the sweat, or are you afraid of discovering exactly how much potential you have wasted? A strong frame supports a strong mind, and both require a daily sacrifice that you have been avoiding. Stop negotiating with your laziness as if it has a seat at the table of your future self. Control is not something you find in the outside world, but something you exert over the chaos within your mind. You react to every insult and every minor inconvenience like a leaf being blown around by a cold autumn wind. Why do you give away your power so easily to people who do not even know your middle name? Stoicism is not the absence of emotion, but the absolute mastery over how those emotions dictate your physical actions. You must become a fortress that cannot be breached by the petty dramas of those who live without purpose. When the world tries to break your spirit, you must respond with a silence that is louder than noise. Do you think the giants of history spent their time crying about the unfairness of their particular circumstances? They built their empires on the ruins of their own excuses, and you must learn to do the same. Mastery of the self is the only victory that truly matters in this short and brutal life. Responsibility is the heavy crown that most men are too terrified to wear because it demands the death of blame. You point your finger at your upbringing, the economy, or your boss, while your own house remains in ruins. Why do you seek a scapegoat when you are the one holding the compass of your own miserable journey? Everything that happens to you is your fault, because even if you did not cause it, you choose the response. A man who blames others is a man who admits he is powerless to change his own wretched reality. You must own your failures with the same intensity that you claim your victories in your wildest dreams. Are you tired of being a victim, or have you grown fond of the pity you receive? There is no dignity in a life lived as a series of reactions to external forces you refuse to control. Extreme ownership is the only path to a freedom that cannot be taken away by any man. Focus is the currency of the elite, and you are currently spending yours like a fool in a casino. You jump from one distraction to another because you are afraid to sit alone with your own shallow thoughts. Why do you allow tech giants to harvest your attention while your own goals starve for a single hour of work? Deep work is a superpower in an age where most men cannot focus for more than 10 pathetic seconds. You must learn to say no to the trivial many, so you can say yes to the vital few. Your energy is a finite resource that is being drained by apps and people who add nothing to your character. Do you realize that your lack of concentration is the reason your progress has stalled for so many years? Build a wall around your time and kill any intruder who dares to steal your mental clarity today. Without focus, you are just a fast car with no steering wheel heading for a massive crash. The mirror reflects a man who's traded his destiny for the hollow warmth of a screen and a comfortable chair. You have been sedated by a culture that rewards the average and mocks the man who strives for more. Why do you feel the need to be understood by people who have given up on their own greatness? Your desire for social acceptance is a leash that keeps you walking in circles with the rest of the herd. Silence is where the real work happens, away from the applause and the desperate need for digital likes. Do you have the courage to disappear for a year and rebuild yourself in the dark without telling anyone. The world does not need more talkers. It needs men whose results are so loud they cannot be ignored. Every time you explain your plans, you bleed the energy required to actually execute them with cold precision. Stop seeking a witness for your evolution and start becoming the man who doesn't need one. Failure is not an ending, but a mandatory tax that every man must pay on the road to mastery. You are so paralyzed by the fear of looking stupid that you have remained a permanent amateur in your life.
Why do you treat a setback like a funeral instead of a lesson written in the blood of effort? The only way to find your limit is to crash against it until the barrier finally gives way to your will. You have been taught to seek safety, but safety is just a slow death dressed in a business suit. A man who has never failed is a man who has never truly tested the depth of his soul. Are you going to let a single mistake define the rest of your story? Or will you use it? Build your character on the foundation of your scars, because those are the only things that cannot be faked. Victory belongs to the man who can endure the most boredom and the most repetitive, grinding work. Consistency is the boring secret that separates the legends from the ghosts who haunt the halls of potential. You think you can work hard for a week and then rest on your laurels like a king. Why do you believe that a single moment of effort entitles you to a lifetime of results and respect? The universe does not reward the intense burst, it rewards the relentless drip of water that eventually carves through stone. You must become a machine that operates regardless of the weather, the economy, or the state of your heart. Do you have the stomach for the mundane tasks that lead to the extraordinary heights you claim to desire? Most men quit when the novelty wears off and the reality of the grind sets in for the long haul. You must find a way to be the man who stays when everyone else has found a reason to leave. Discipline is not a one-time event, but a daily ritual of self-conquest that never truly ends. Character is what remains when you have lost everything else and find yourself standing alone in the cold dark. It is the internal architecture that decides whether you stand tall or crumble under the weight of a heavy life. Why do you spend more time decorating your external life than you do building the foundations of your own integrity? A man of character does not lie to himself or others because his word is his only true currency. You must be willing to walk the path of most resistance if it leads to the truth of your soul. Do you act the same way in the dark as you do when the world is watching your every move? Your reputation is what others think of you, but your character is what you know to be true. Stop chasing the shadow of success and start becoming the substance that casts it into the world around you. You are the architect of your own honor, or the mason of your own deep shame. The old you is dead, or he is dying. You must not mourn his passing, for he was the only thing standing in your way. The comfort you once craved is a poison that leads to a stagnant life and a forgotten name. Do you feel the weight of the responsibility you now carry to the man you are becoming? There is no going back to the fog of distraction and the weakness of excuses now that you have seen the truth. You have been given the tools to forge a soul of iron, but the hammering must never stop if the blade is to stay sharp. The path ahead is lonely, steep, and demanding. And that is exactly why it is the only path worth walking for a man of honor. You will be tempted to rest, to slip back into the warm embrace of mediocrity, and to seek the approval of the small-minded.
Will you succumb to the gravity of the masses, or will you rise like a pillar of discipline in a world of chaos? Every choice you make from this second forward is a brick in the monument of your character. The world is waiting to see if you have the stomach to stay consistent when the fire of this moment cools into a steady, cold resolve. Go now and build a life that demands respect from the mirror before it asks for anything from the world. Silence your tongue and let the results of your labor scream your name across the landscape of your industry and your home. Are you ready to live as a man who is truly free? Because he is a master of his own internal empire. This is not a finish line. It is the first breath of a new existence defined by struggle, strength, and an unbreakable will. The time for talk has vanished into the wind, and the time for relentless, uncompromising action has finally arrived.
Look at the man in the mirror and tell me, truly, do you recognize the fire that used to burn there? You've spent years drifting through a fog of comfort, allowing your potential to be smothered by the very things meant to distract you from your own decline. Every time you chose the easy path, you traded a piece of your soul for a fleeting moment of relief. How much of you is even left after all those compromises? The world does not care about your excuses, but the invisible burdens you claim to carry. The clock is not your friend, and it certainly does not wait for you to feel ready or motivated to change. Every second you spend scrolling through the lives of others is a second you steal from your own legacy. You are bleeding time, and yet you act as if you have an infinite supply stored in a bank. Do you really believe that greatness will just happen to you while you sit there waiting for a sign? The sign is the decay you feel in your gut every time you settle for less. Think about the ancestors who survived wars, famine, and brutal winters just so your bloodline could reach this moment. Would they be proud of the way you spend your energy? Or would they be ashamed of your softness? You are the result of 1,000 victories, yet you live like a man who has already accepted defeat. Why have you allowed your discipline to become a suggestion rather than a law? You have become a slave to your impulses, a puppet dancing for the entertainment of those who profit from your weakness. The old version of you is a ghost haunting a house that is currently on fire. You cannot save him, and if you try, you will only perish alongside the mediocrity he represents. There is a version of you that is silent, focused, and absolutely lethal in his execution of duty. He does not seek validation from strangers or comfort from a bottle. He is waiting for you to kill the coward who currently occupies your skin. Are you brave enough to pull the trigger on your own ego? This is the end of the road for your excuses, and the beginning of a life defined by cold, hard reality. Tomorrow is a lie told by people who are too afraid to face the truth of today. Your evolution requires the total destruction of your current identity, leaving only the bone and muscle of character behind. Stop looking for a way out and start looking for the way through the pain. The transformation starts the moment you decide that being average is a fate worse than death. Stop waiting for a feeling to save you, because your feelings are the very chains that keep you grounded in the dirt. Motivation is a fickle drug for the weak, who need a pat on the back to do what is necessary. Why do you treat your duties like they are optional suggestions based on your mood? A man who cannot control his own whims is nothing more than a child in a grown body. Discipline is the only language the universe respects when it comes to the construction of a real legacy. You must learn to love the silence of the early morning and the burning in your chest. Is your comfort worth more than the respect of the man you were meant to become?
Every time you hit snooze, you are telling your goals that they are not important. You are voting for your own failure with every moment of hesitation you allow into your day. True power is found in the ability to do exactly what you hate when it is required. The modern world is a trap designed to keep you sedated and easy to manage through endless digital noise. You're being fed a diet of cheap dopamine and fake validation to ensure you never realize your own strength. Why do you care about the opinions of people who do not even have control over their own lives? Your phone is a cage, and every notification is a bar that keeps you from seeing the truth. Silence is the weapon of the wise and the shield of those who are building something that lasts. You speak too much about what you intend to do and do too little to actually prove it. Greatness is not loud, and it does not need an audience to justify its existence in the world. Look at your habits and tell me if they belong to a king or to a peasant. If you do not curate your environment, it will surely curate a version of you that is weak. Your body is a physical manifestation of your mental standards. And right now, your standards are far too low. Why do you allow your vessel to become soft while you claim to have a mind of iron and steel? You cannot separate the man from his discipline because they are forged.
Repeats daily, and the result compounds. Look at yourself honestly, not the image you show others. The real version, the private habits, the hidden laziness, the silent doubts, the wasted hours, the avoided challenges. Are you proud of that man? Or are you ready to replace him? You wake up and the first battle begins. Not against the world, against your own hesitation. The bed is warm, the room is quiet. Your mind suggests delay. Just a few more minutes. Just one more scroll. Just one more excuse. And discipline is tested immediately. Strong men win early. They move before thinking too much. They stand before comfort speaks. They act before doubt grows. This is not dramatic. It is mechanical. It is intentional. It is repeated daily. Victory begins in small moments. Momentum follows. Your environment shapes your decisions. Messy space creates messy thinking. Noise kills concentration. Disorder weakens intention. You cannot live chaotically and expect structured discipline. Order is not aesthetic. Order is psychological. Control outside builds control inside. Everything reflects your standards. Most people chase motivation. They wait for excitement. They depend on emotion. That is fragile. Emotion fluctuates constantly. Discipline does not. You build systems, you remove choices, you reduce friction, you execute automatically. Consistency feels boring. Repetition feels slow. Progress feels invisible. That is why most quit. They want dramatic change, they want instant transformation, but growth is quiet, it accumulates silently. Day after day, decision after decision, your mind will resist growth, it prefers safety. It fears discomfort, it avoids uncertainty. That resistance is normal, but normal does not mean correct. You must override instinct, you must choose difficulty, you must embrace pressure, that is evolution. Every distraction steals intensity, every interruption breaks focus, every notification resets momentum. You cannot build depth distracted, you cannot grow scattered, you must protect attention. Guard it aggressively, use it deliberately, spend it intentionally. Attention
intention defines direction. You don't need perfect conditions, you need commitment. Noise will exist, fatigue will appear, doubt will visit, time will feel short, but disciplined men adapt. They don't complain, they adjust and execute, they move regardless. Pain is not your enemy. Avoidance is. Pain reveals weakness, pain exposes limits. Pain forces adaptation. When you run from it, you stay fragile. When you face it, you become resilient. Growth requires friction. Ask yourself something uncomfortable. If nothing changes today, where will you be in a year? Same habits, same excuses, same frustration, same regret. Time will move anyway. The question is simple, will you move with it? You say you want change, but do your actions confirm it? Words are cheap, intentions are easy, execution is rare, that's why results expose truth. You cannot fake discipline, you cannot pretend consistency. You either did the work or you didn't. Your future is built quietly, not in big announcements, not in dramatic decisions, but in repeated effort. The early mornings, the controlled reactions, the focused hours, the finished tasks. These moments stack, they shape identity. Weakness seeks recognition, strength seeks progress. Weakness wants applause, strength wants growth. Weakness complains loudly, strength adjusts silently. Weakness explains failure, strength corrects behavior. Which side are you reinforcing? Which one defines you? Discipline removes chaos, it gives structure to time, it eliminates hesitation, it reduces emotional swings. You know what must be done, you do it regardless. No negotiation, no drama, just execution, just responsibility. Your habits reveal your priorities, not what you say, what you repeat. Where your time goes, where your energy flows, where your attention stays. That is your truth, that is your direction, that is your identity. Do you accept it? Excuses protect comfort but destroy potential. They sound logical, they feel justified. They seem harmless but they accumulate. They build limitation, they normalize avoidance. They create stagnation, they feed regret. You must become reliable to yourself first. Promises must mean action. Decisions must create movement. Commitment must create discipline. No more empty intention, no more delayed execution. You decide, you move, you finish. Control your reactions. Strong men win early. They move before thinking too much. They stand before comfort speaks. They act before doubt grows. This is not dramatic, it is mechanical. It is intentional, it is repeated daily. Victory begins in small moments, momentum follows. Your environment shapes your decisions. Messy space creates messy thinking. Noise kills concentration. Disorder weakens intention. You cannot live chaotically and expect structured discipline. Order is not aesthetic. Order you ready to replace him. You wake up and the first battle begins. Not against the world, against your own hesitation. The bed is warm, the room is quiet. Your mind suggests delay. Just a few more minutes, just one more scroll, just one more excuse. And discipline is tested immediately. Strong men win early. They move before thinking too much. They stand before comfort speaks. They act before doubt grows. This is not dramatic, it is mechanical. It is intentional, it is repeated daily. Victory begins in small moments, momentum follows. Look at yourself honestly, not the image you show others. The real version, the private habits, the hidden laziness, the silent doubts, the wasted hours, the avoided challenges. Are you proud of that man? Or are you ready to replace him? You wake up and the first battle begins. Not against the world, against your own hesitation. The bed is warm, the room is quiet. Your mind suggests delay. Just a few more minutes.
You didn't come here by accident. Something in you is tired of the noise, tired of scrolling, tired of pretending. that tomorrow will magically fix what you keep avoiding today. There's a quiet pressure in your chest, a voice that doesn't scream but refuses to disappear. It asks uncomfortable questions. How long will you keep negotiating with your own potential? How many more nights will you trade discipline for distraction? You feel it, don't you? The sense that your life is waiting for you to finally become someone worth following. Look at how easy weakness has become. Endless entertainment, instant validation, effortless excuses. You can waste hours and call it rest. You can avoid responsibility and call it self-care. You can quit early and call it balance. But deep down, you know the truth. Every shortcut is stealing something from you. Every delay is shaping you into a man who reacts instead of leads. Are you comfortable becoming average? Or does that thought quietly disturb you? There's a version of you that doesn't need motivation. He wakes up and moves, he decides and executes. He doesn't argue with discipline because discipline is his identity. That man isn't louder, he's calmer. He doesn't chase attention, he commands respect through consistency. He doesn't complain about pressure, he becomes stronger because of it. The question is simple and brutal. Are you building him, or are you slowly burying him? Most men wait for a perfect moment. They want clarity, confidence, energy, and certainty before they act. But strength is built in confusion. Character is forged in resistance. Control is earned when emotions scream for comfort and you choose effort anyway. What if the life you want is locked behind the things you keep avoiding? What if the discomfort you fear is the doorway to the man you're supposed to become? You're about to decide something, not with words, but with attention. If you stay, you're choosing growth. If you leave, you're choosing familiarity. Both have consequences. One builds discipline, the other feeds regret. So ask yourself honestly, are you ready to face who you are and who you could become? You keep telling yourself you'll start when you feel ready. But readiness is a myth created by hesitation. The truth is brutal and simple. You either move now or you stay the same. How many times have you promised yourself change? How many times did comfort win? Every delay trains you to quit. Every excuse makes weakness familiar, and familiarity becomes identity. Is that the identity you want? Discipline begins where motivation dies, not when you feel inspired, not when energy is high, but when resistance is loud. That is the battlefield. That is where character forms. You either obey comfort or command yourself. One builds softness, the other builds control. Which one are you feeding today? Modern life rewards distraction. Notifications pull your focus apart. Comfort numbs your urgency. Validation replaces self-respect. You scroll instead of building. You consume instead of creating. You talk instead of executing. And slowly you forget your edge. You forget your hunger. You forget your responsibility. Strong men move in silence. They don't announce discipline. They live it repeatedly. They show up without emotion. They execute without drama. They endure without applause. No one sees the early mornings. No one hears the internal battles. But results expose everything. Silence becomes power. You don't need more information. You already know what to do. Wake up earlier, train harder, focus longer, speak less. Finish what you start. Cut distractions, accept discomfort, become reliable. Weakness negotiates with effort. It says tomorrow will be better. It says you deserve a break. It says one more distraction won't matter. But weakness always expands. It spreads quietly. It lowers standards slowly until discipline feels impossible. Until control disappears. Until regret becomes constant. Strength is built through repetition. Small actions repeated relentlessly. Showing up when you don't wanna. Finishing when it gets boring. Continuing when no one notices. Enduring when progress is slow. This is not exciting. This is not glamorous, but this is transformation. This is how men change. Your emotions are not commands. They are temporary signals. They rise and fall constantly. Discipline ignores the noise. Control overrides impulse. You act because you decided, not because you felt like it. That is maturity. That is stability. That is power. Responsibility changes everything. No one is coming to save you. No perfect moment is arriving. No sudden motivation will fix you. You either build structure or you collapse into chaos. You either control time, or time controls you. The choice. Disciplined men continue. They don't restart emotionally. They adjust quietly. They keep moving forward. They refuse regression. The man you become is watching. He sees your decisions. He measures your effort. He waits for alignment. You are either approaching him or moving away. Every day decides. Every action shapes distance. Every moment matters. Are you getting closer? Silence builds intensity. Talking releases pressure. That's why many speak, but few execute. Keep your plans quiet. Let effort speak later. Let results communicate. Let discipline show. Mystery builds respect. Consistency confirms it. You don't need validation. You need direction. Approval is temporary. Respect is earned slowly. Focus on the process. Ignore outside noise. Most opinions are irrelevant. Most criticism is projection. Stay locked in. Stay committed. Your standards define your life. Low standards create chaos. High standards create structure. You choose them daily. Through tolerance, through discipline, through consistency, through responsibility. You either raise them or lower them. Time is not waiting. Days are disappearing. Opportunities are passing. Potential is aging. You feel that pressure. Use it intentionally. Let urgency guide action. Let discipline guide movement. Let responsibility guide decisions. This is your window. Comfort will always call you back. It offers ease, it offers distraction, it offers escape, but it also offers stagnation. It offers weakness, it offers regret. You must reject it repeatedly. You must outgrow it daily. You must dominate it. You don't rise accidentally. You build yourself deliberately. Layer by layer, habit by habit, decision by decision. You sharpen focus, you control emotion. You increase tolerance. You strengthen discipline. You evolve consciously. Look around honestly. Most people drift. They react emotionally. They chase comfort. They avoid responsibility. They accept mediocrity. That is the default path. But you don't have to follow. You can separate yourself through discipline. The difference is not talent. It is consistency. It is focus. It is control. It is responsibility. It is repetition. Anyone can start strong. Few continue quietly. That is where separation happens. That is where you rise. You must become uncomfortable with average thinking, average effort, average discipline, average results. Reject mediocrity internally. Raise expectations. Demand more from yourself, not emotionally, but consistently. Your mind adapts to standards. Demand more, you become stronger. Demand less, you become softer. This is constant. This is unavoidable. You are always training. The question is simple.
What are you training?
The future you imagine is expensive. It demands discipline. It demands sacrifice. It demands patience. It demands consistency.
You cannot want it casually.
You must pursue it seriously.
You must commit fully.
You must endure pressure.
You must earn it.
You are not stuck.
You are conditioned.
Habits build your limits.
Habits can break them.
Change behavior.
Identity follows.
Change standards.
Results follow.
Change discipline.
Life follows.
Right now
Matters.
more than later. This decision shapes direction. This moment builds momentum. This choice defines identity.
You either act now
Or delay again. Delay becomes pattern. Pattern becomes personality. Personality becomes destiny.
choose carefully.
The man you respect is disciplined,
calm under pressure,
Focused in chaos,
consistent in effort,
quiet in progress.
strong in responsibility.
You admire him
Because he controls himself,
because he executes.
because he leads,
You can become that man,
not instantly,
but deliberately,
through repetition,
through discipline,
through control,
through responsibility,
through silence,
through consistency.
through action,
This is where you decide,
not emotionally.
but practically. Will you change habits?
Will you control attention?
Will you build discipline?
Will you eliminate excuses?
Will you raise standards
Will you act now?
or stay the same?
Nothing magical will happen.
No sudden transformation, just work, just repetition,
Just discipline,
just consistency.
day after day.
Until identity shifts, until strength becomes normal.
Your future is waiting,
Not passively,
but conditionally.
it responds to effort.
It rewards discipline.
It respects consistency.
It requires responsibility.
It demands control.
It belongs to action.